And this title was also, I think, suggested by them, only role of Ethno-botany in search of newer drug plants. Now, before I go into the importance of Ethno-botany, I would like to also tell you very briefly one or two botanical adventures, which I always call them as botanical adventures. You may be wondering what adventure can be there with grasses. In fact, man is orbiting on moon. Today, you talk of adventure, but my stories when I tell, they are in no way less than the adventures which the modern man is doing today. I take only two, there are dozens of instances like this, but only two important cases I take and discuss and make you understand how important the ethnic knowledge is. This ethnic knowledge can change the entire human civilization. In fact, some of the major discoveries, plant-based discoveries, are all based on traditional knowledge. So therefore, I take only two instances. Number one is the discovery of cinchona. Morning, the reference was made. Discovery of cinchona. How the cinchona was discovered? It is ethnic knowledge only. Today we know alquinine. Somewhere between the mid of 16th century, you can imagine the civilization of middle of 16th century, you can imagine. 100 years ago, what was the civilization? You cannot imagine. Think of some 400 years ago, what was the civilization? At that time, no motor car, nothing. Man was eating and dying. That's all. I think not much of any progress. It is during this time, malaria was very rampant. And it was such a disease that if anybody gets malaria, it is 100% certain that fellow is going to die. That was very clear. Millions of people died throughout the world. And during this time, there were a group of botanists, I don't call them botanists, herbalists. There were a group of herbalists traveling around the Peruvian forest, South America, in search of medicinal plants. Look at this, the interest developed at that time. And they were searching plants, and one of the herbalists was feeling very thirsty, no water to drink, and he was searching for water everywhere, and he did not find water. And ultimately, he comes across a place where there was very dirty, nasty smelling water in a stagnant pond. And this herbalist wants to drink that water, and his colleagues stop him saying that, hey, if you drink this, you are going to die. Then he says, in any case, I am having malaria. So he was 100% sure that 1 month or 2 months was his time. He is going to die because malaria was, definitely it was 100% he is going to die. He said, let me drink this water and die. So he drank that water, and for the surprise of himself, as for surprise of everybody, he did not die. Rather, he was playing football. So this made people understand what is this. This fellow did not die, and that information spread like wildfire everywhere. And people started coming. There is a pond, very dirty water, and you drink that water, your malaria will be cured. So that spread that news world like a wildfire, and people started coming and taking that water started receding. The Peruvians never wanted to lose their monopoly, and what we are talking of biopiracy, it was also there at that time. So never wanted to lose their monopoly, so what they did, they put an iron fence and appointed a priest to give some 2 spoons of water, just like temples, we give tirtha. So in that way, he was asked to give water, and many people got cured. The governor's wife was also suffering from malaria. Her name was Sincon, Duchess of Sincon. She was also suffering, and she also took that water and got her cured. And this fellow who first got cured, he started thinking. That curiosity developed there. All these days people were eating and dying. I told that the so-called thinking started at that time. How this water can cure? That fellow came again and then surveyed the ponds all around the place and found only one difference I can find is there are some logs of wood fallen here, whereas in the other ponds there are no logs. So ultimately he concluded it must be because of this log of wood, and then he named that log or the tree as Cinchona in honor of that governor's wife. So that is how Cinchona, then a series of experiments started crudely, and then they established it is quinine and all that. The interesting thing is, the adventures I am talking, the director of the Royal Botanic Garden, Kew, wanted to grow cinchona in India. So at that time we were under British rule. So they requested the director of that Royal Garden, one Mr. Markham, he was a very renowned botanist. They requested him, you please go and some seeds. So he came, just took a flight and, right? No flight. He took 6 months. 6 months, poor fellow traveled all the way. He came to Peru and then collected a large amount of seeds, and also a few seeds he kept it in his pocket also. The Peruvians came to know that this fellow has collected the seeds. The Royal Botanic Garden director was manhandled, and all the seeds were killed by pouring boiling oil on all those seeds. And the fellow came with only a handful of seeds. From that he raised a nursery. The original nursery raised by him is in Nilgiri today. Even in the top Nilgiri hills, if you go, you can see this. Then series of experiments started. The thousands, millions of people who are dying were all stopped because of the discovery of the cinchona. That is how the knowledge, traditional knowledge spread. And then it is at this time, there was another person collecting plants in Amazon forest. His name was Richard Spruce. He was collecting plants for just supplying. He was not a botanist, not a herbalist, but he was collecting plants for his livelihood. So he used to send the plants and then get money and earn his livelihood. And in doing so, he at one place, he observed the very curious thing. What is that very curious thing? Tribal boys were playing with ball, throwing the ball and it is rebouncing. Now what greatness is there in that? You throw the ball, it comes up. Is there anything greatness? But that time rubber was not there. You can imagine. He found it so curious. Then he also threw something, but it is not coming. Then he goes to those tribal boys and in his own dialect he asks, are you doing some black magic or something? How is it you throw something, it is rebounding? And the tribal boys take him to a tree and then scratch it, a kind of milky juice comes and all that, they harden it and then show that. And that he writes that a tree with milky juice shows elastic property. And he made a herbarium specimen and sent it, and 50 years people forgot. Nobody knew what is rubber. And one sudden fine morning when the specimens were seen, they found there is a plant, I think it must be very interesting. So they sent a big delegation of scientists all the way from Kew to the place where the Richard Spruce had collected the plant. And in that delegation there was a person called Priestley. He was a chemist. And he was very methodical, and when he was making notes in not with nice fountain pens which we are using now, pencil. He was making notes in pencil, and sometime when he was writing, suddenly he made a mistake. When he made a mistake, he had that so-called the elastic material in his hand. By intuition, just he rubbed it, and the pencil mark got erased. And he did it for 2-3 times, and then it got erased, and he started jumping, joy. Arey, this can remove pencil mark. And he called it rubber. For the first time, he called it rubber. Now, can you imagine a human civilization without rubber today? Starting from, after that, again, I will cut this story short. A large number of experiments are conducted. Goodyear came and he started that you boil it with sulfur, it becomes very hard, and that paved the way for cycle tires and later on scooter, cars, rocket, everything today. The entire human civilization changed because of discovery of one plant, and because of discovery of one plant associated with some tribal information. What is that information? A plant has this, it shows elastic property. So the ethnic knowledge changed the entire human civilization. So that is the significance of ethnic knowledge or ethno-botany, which the modern scientists today underestimate that. They don't think there is no science in this, and they don't want to encourage this. There is a very serious apathy shown to this subject. 50 years I have been fighting, so therefore I know what is the situation today. So all the high science people today, there is no science. What is you go, so you say something, it is used for diabetes, you write it and publish it. What is your contribution? There is nothing new. So this is the, I think I have been fighting with my own colleagues. My point I want to say is ethnic knowledge is so important that you cannot neglect ethnic knowledge, because it is from this lot of new discoveries are made. I think this is my title and my email. Youngsters can note down, and even after the conference, if anybody want to interact with me or discuss with me, you are all welcome. Not going? Huh? Okay. Huh? Not working? Yeah. Okay, that's all. Okay. Yeah. So therefore, I will now very quickly I will go, because I must finish my talk within the time allotted. Hirschberger coined the term first so-called ethno-botany in 1876. It doesn't mean ethno-botany started with 1876. Ever since human civilization started, ethno-botany was there. But he coined the term only to define the study of plants used by aboriginal people. Aboriginal people or the tribal people or the ethnic people, that one. And world over, this ethnic knowledge has changed. There are dozens of stories attached to this, rubber, soothing beverage like tea and cinchona, all that is because of the discovery of ethnic knowledge only. What is the significance about this ethnic knowledge? Ethnic knowledge significance is Adivasi people live in remote areas, number one. And they are cut off from the modern civilization or contact with the modern people. Their life depends on the surrounding vegetation, whatever is there available, whether it is a food plant, whether it is an edible plant, whether it is a medicinal plant, everything they gather from the surrounding plant for their day-to-day existence. And by way of trial and error method, this is very important for us. Trial and error method, they have perfected the usage of certain plants. Now today, if a tribe says that this is an anti-diabetic plant, it is not his information. That information has percolated over several generations. It has stood the test of time. It has perfected during the several generations. Therefore, 100% accuracy I will attach. You may think as a tribal, what do they don't know even how to dress, and what you can learn from them. This is the attitude of the modern scientists today. But the information they have is not their information. Over several generations it has percolated and perfected. If there is a medicinal plant, if there is a poisonous plant, now today we can say poisonous plant. How did it come? Several people must have died eating that fruit or leaves or whatever it is. That is how they have been able to assess that this is a medicinal poisonous plant. So therefore, by trial and error method, they have acquired huge amount of information, and this information is passed on from one generation to other only through oral folklore. There is no written textbook or data bank or anything. Only it passes through one generation to other through their oral folklore. Therefore, my point is, I want to say this ethnic knowledge is a valuable information for us. We cannot just neglect that this is a useless. So this information, even more than your systematic scientific investigation, I will talk about this also, is perfected here because several thousands of years have gone into this. Indian region is an emporium of ethnobotanical wealth. We are very fortunate. One side, there is a rich biodiversity, as I told, in our country. The other side, the rich biodiversity is associated with ethnic knowledge, because almost 550 ethnic tribes are there in India. They live in remote forested areas and they depend on that. So every tribe has their own set of plants used for their day-to-day life. So it is not one or two, hundreds of species are they use, and each one of the species is a worthwhile, I think we should investigate. That is the one thing. And yeah, the red one, this profound traditional knowledge on resource use and their conservation by tribals provide modern scientists unparalleled opportunities. I have specifically unparalleled scientific opportunities for research and product development, but we are not making use of that. You apply for a project, ethno-botany project, I can write it in review, your project will never be approved. Today this is the situation. But we talk on places like this, oh, ethnobotany is so important, everybody talk, taxonomy is important, fieldwork is important, but when the question of giving something comes, no, you will be rejected. What is there? A molecular biologist, he is an allied scientist, he has done wonderful. What is that? You are only a fieldwork going with a bag, collecting plants and all that. So that impression has come. So therefore today, I must tell them that it has unparalleled opportunity. Each plant you can take and do wonders, because it is a authentic information that has come over several generations. Is it okay? Then I will go further. Okay. Now, you see, these are all the tribal concentrated areas. Anyway, I will skip some of these things. As I told, 550 ethnic tribes are there in our country. Each one has several sub-tribes. Naga tribe, for example. Nagas, if you take, there are 16 sub-tribes. Each one have their own dialect, their own living way of culture, everything. So therefore, you can imagine how much amount of information is hidden among themselves. That is number one. And secondly, if you do not record now, if the tribal resource person dies, a library of information is gone. In fact, already 70% of the information we have lost because we have not recorded. People have died. There are no other takers. So therefore, it is high time that we should record some of these users. This is just a tribe from Andaman where we published the paper long back. So just to show this is how look. And if I show you to a molecular biology, biotechnology, you know, what I should learn from this fellow? Is it science? So this is the attitude. But the knowledge they have, unparalleled. They may not dress up like you with a suit and boot, but the knowledge they have is excellent. Yes. It is a synthetic discipline. Ethno-botany is not just ethnobotany, but synthetic. You want geography, you want anthropology, linguistics, culture, geography, taxonomy, ecology, all that is needed. But in our country, even today, I am telling, we have not done one publication based on this interdisciplinary approach. Just a botanist will go, make a list of plants and publish, or an anthropologist will go, bring a list of plants used for headache or stomach pain or whatever it is, publish, but real ethnobotany work we have not done. Yes. Now, I think this is again from my paper, and there are ways of doing ethnobotanical work. I think the youngsters should know this. Number one is field work. That is a must. You go to where tribal areas and identify a resource person and go and collect all the plants, show it to him for what purpose you use, record it properly along with the local name, what he calls. I think that's very important. Or you take him with you, go around the village, ask him what for you use this, how do you use this, how many times, how many days you use it. All the data you can collect it. That is one way of doing. The other one is herbarium specimens. Herbarium specimens actually are very important. Now herbarium is a data bank on plants. Today, most of the universities consider herbarium is a place where dead plants are kept. Why do you want air conditioner? When we are doing so much of work, we are not having AC. Why do you want for dead plants AC? Now, they do not know the importance of the herbarium. Herbarium is a permanent record. It is a data bank on plants. If there are 500 specimens, 5 million specimens in a herbarium, 5 million data is there. That is very important. Now, sitting in one place, I want to know from the country today all anti-cancer plants of India. I can go to the herbarium and make a big list and say, this is the list of plants. So, herbarium is a data bank. Anything you want to do, you can work. But herbaria do not get any importance in this present day modern world, because again we are all ruled by molecular biologists who consider herbarium is useless. There is nothing. I hope if I am wrong, you can correct. I think there are very intelligent fellows here. Yeah. And of course, another one is the ancient literature, including the travelogues and all that. We can just collect the one. And archaeological sites, and I think these are all the things we are not going. At least first one or two these things, at least we should be very familiar. And if they want to know the details of all the methodology, I have published a paper. I think you can ask me, I will send, or you can Google it out, you will come to know. Yeah. Now, considering the importance of ethnobotany, a few years back, the Ministry of Environment and Forest, they launched a all India coordinated project on ethnobotany, and in that project, you can see how many plants, medicine, you forget all this, only medicine. 7,500 species are said to be medicinal. We have collected from all over the country by different groups. Now 7,500 plants are there. Why there is not a product? Why there is not one product? And every plant I consider is a Sanjeevani plant. But why there are no products? This is what I will come to that. Now, of course, this is already somebody has told. One of the earliest works, one of the earliest and very authoritative work is that of Hortus Malabaricus. Its entire work is based on the hereditary physician of Malabar, traditional knowledge, entire traditional knowledge, E.T. Achyutan, who gave all the information about the medicinal plants of that time, and Van Reed is the person who recorded everything and published it in 12 volumes, 595 pages. It contains 702 plant species, from Kerala, Malabar region. So you can imagine this is one of the very authoritative, very wonderful one, and that is Hortus Malabaricus, which has been translated, that was in Latin, which has been translated to English by Professor Manilal. 38 years he spent only in translating this because of the fact Hortus Malabaricus is a pre-Linnaean publication. Pre-Linnaean publication means there were no binomial names are not there, all polynomials. So therefore, equating the polynomial with the present day binomial is also very difficult. So he took almost 38 years to translate that to English, and then later on he published it in Malayalam also. Now my point is, such a tremendous work he has done. The fellow, I am extremely sorry to say that only last week he expired. I don't know, many of you know, a great gentleman, a great botanist, a great taxonomist of Kerala. He was also awarded Padma Shri. So the fellow died, only last week he died, but we should always remember him. And this is the person, E.T. Achyutan. Actually, he is the one, a hereditary physician who has given so much of information. And this information is based again, please remember, it is not he has given his information. It has percolated. With trial and error method, it has been perfected and accumulated over several generations. Now, in addition to that, we have Rigveda, Sushruta Samhita, Charaka Samhita. Dr. Dandin also made a reference. Charaka Samhita, for example, there are so many names. There are problems are also associated with that, I will tell just now. But you can understand, these figures have no sanctity. Don't worry about the figures. My point is that there are a large number of plants mentioned in Charaka Samhita. You consider Charaka Samhita as an authoritative treatise. If you consider an authoritative treatise, why not you go for product then? Why we are not able to bring a product? That is the question asked. Now, in also Vedic literature also, we have like plants like Sariva, Soma, Sanjeevani. What is that Sanjeevani? We don't know. Sanjeevani is a plant which has that miraculous property of bringing back to life almost a dead person. We all know, I think, that story. I think I will tell that. This is all botanical riddle today. There are many botanical riddles. I will talk one by one. Now, Soma, for example, we are all very familiar with Scotch whiskey. Scotch whiskey is one, comes from Scotland, so I think everybody must be familiar except some good people like me. Except some good people like me, I think everybody must be familiar. Scotch whiskey comes from Scotland. Scotch whiskey comes from Scotland, which is small. It is much smaller than any district in our country. And that small country is through beverage, it's harvesting money from both hands. Look at, they are ruling the beverage world today, Scotch world. But we had a drink, alcoholic drink, highly invigorating, highly tonic, highly anti-fatty tonic drink called Soma in Vedic literature. Now, Soma is such a powerful drink, it was. Poor people who are not able to afford Soma, those days, they used to go behind the persons who had taken Soma, and whenever they used to urinate, they collect their urine and drink. Now, please understand, people were prepared to drink even urine because of soma. What is that soma? The active principle in soma passes through the alimentary system of human beings almost unmetabolized. Whatever property soma has, urine also has the same property. So therefore, they were even prepared to drink. That was the craze for soma. That was such an important drink. And it was 5,000 years old. Not 1 or 2,000, 5,000 years old drink. We have forgotten soma. We do not know what is soma. We do not know the technology involved in soma. What are the surrogates of soma? We do not know. All these plants which I have listed is, in the soma. This is a gymnosperm is attributed as a surrogate. A fungus is attributed as a surrogate. A flowering plant is attributed as a surrogate. So any plant is attributed as a surrogate of soma, but we do not know. Suppose we reselect the technology of soma, India can become one of the richest countries. We can lock off the monopoly of Scotch. I think we should all take up this kind of work. One plant can change the economy of the country, not 8,000 species. I think that's the one. This one, Podophyllum exandrum. I will quickly go because all are very important medicinal plants. I don't want to tell the stories of this thing, but very quickly I will go. Next. Now, Himalaya is a wonderful place. Himalaya is an abode of life-saving plants like Sanjeevani. Because we know Sanjeevani because of Ramayana. Ramayana, Lakshmana becomes unconscious, and Lord Ram sends Hanuman to go and bring Sanjeevani plant from Himalaya. Why did he not send it to Western Ghat? Western Ghat is very near to Sri Lanka. But he sent all the way, go to Himalaya, because even during the epic days of Ramayana, Himalaya was known as a place where Sanjeevani-like plants are growing. What is that Sanjeevani? As I said, any plant that has that miraculous property of bringing back to life, almost a dead person who is in coma, he can just rejuvenate himself. Such a wonderful property. And Hanuman comes there, and morning I think all these fellows talked, yes, taxonomy is very difficult, and even Hanuman could not identify Sanjeevani. So it was a big problem for him. So he was capable of lifting the mountain, but he could not identify that plant. Imagine, taxonomist's job is not so easy. So he, please listen, he took the mountain and he comes all the way to Sri Lanka, and Lord Ram was conservation conscious fellow. And he says, hey, you have brought the whole mountain, all these plants will die here. Why did you bring all this? You have not done a good job. Please put this mountain back. He orders Lord Hanuman. And Hanuman, again, ardent servant of Ram, he comes all the way, and on the way he thinks, Lord Ram is not correct, because war is going on now. My presence more needed there in Lanka, rather than putting this mountain back. He throws that mountain in between and goes back. That mountain which fell down is supposed to be the Gandhamardhan Parvat in Orissa, where similar plants that we find in the Himalayas, we find there. It is a phytogeographic story connection, but whether you believe in the story or not, it is immaterial. There may be science, may not be. But even during the epic days of Ramayana, people knew that Himalaya is a place where Sanjeevani-like plants are there. We surveyed this area, and of course, even the DRDO people have took up this case, and they surveyed the area, and I was first person to survey the Valley of Flowers. Hanuman visited Valley of Flowers. That was called Kakabusandi Valley in Ramayana. So the DRDO people, they surveyed this area, and based on ethnic knowledge, solo, Ladakhi name, based on ethnic knowledge, not systematic surveying, based on ethnic knowledge, they identified a plant which they called rhodiola walliciana, which is a cold desert plant, which has immunomodulatory, adaptogenic, radiopathic abilities. This is the only species that has got the nullifying effect of gamma radiation. A wonderful medicinal plant that I have got. Our Honorable Prime Minister once or twice, I think, made a reference about this particular plant in the TV. I don't know, some of you must have heard, so saying that there is a plant in Ladakh called Solo, and that kind of plant should be brought out and for the whole welfare of the human being. So what he meant was, we should go for global level products, making use of such. It's a ready-made information. On one side plant is there, associated information is there. You should go and now go for bioprospection team, develop a big team of scientists, including taxonomists. Of course, the taxonomists are always eliminated, but including taxonomists, take a big group, take 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, but at the end of the day, bring one product that is the greatest service you can do to science and also to yourself. Yes. This is that plant, Rhodiola wallacea. I think the slides are here. I don't know if anybody wants to take all these slides, they can copy. Yeah. Now, based on the, again, elsewhere, not from India, how ethnic knowledge has played a major role in drug development. For example, all these plants, I don't want to read, there is a big list now, atropine, codeine, cyanarine, digitoxin, ephedrine, all these based on ethnic knowledge. Remember, based on ethnic knowledge, so many drugs we have already obtained. Plant source, atropa, ephedra, I have given podophyllum and all that. So you can clinical use, these are the ones. But my point is, we have not been able to bring a global level product. Now, until and unless you bring one global level product, economy of the country will not change. Yes? Now, in the Himalaya itself, and I have served for a number of years in Himalaya, so therefore I am giving emphasis on Himalaya. In the Himalaya itself, large number of tribes, they use some of these plants very commonly. Ephedra, podophyllum hexandrum. This is one plant, I think this is beyond doubt, it is proved that this is a wonder plant for anti-cancer and anti-HIV. It's a wonderful medicinal plant that we have in. All are important, of course, others I don't say unimportant, all are important, but I think based on the cross-cultural studies, we should go for podophyllum, immediately go for developing some products. At the local level, I think I must congratulate all these companies also. At the local level, Himalaya Drug Company, Armani, Allen's, all these Himalaya Drug Company, all these companies have developed, all are again ethnic knowledge. Remember this, not by systematic investigation from A to Z, they have not done this. Based on the ethnic knowledge, they have developed already some products, small level, small products. But what I mean to say is that, as morning it was also raised, how much true they are all to the plant. See, this is the thing. Scientific evaluation is very much needed, and pharmacopoeia should be developed based on the scientific evaluation. Unless we do that, it cannot reach the global level market. And that has to be done. I think India should now, I think medicinal plants, those who are interested, should take up research in this direction. Any one plant to go for a pharmacopoeia, develop a pharmacopoeia, it should go for global level product. But all are wonderful medicinal plants. These products are already there. I have written syrup, all this. They are all working very well, but regional level or at the national level, but they have not reached at the global level. So I think that's I want to emphasize more. Now, these are all some of the Himalayan plants. Wonderful plant, for example, this, I'm sorry, this is aconitum, very important, highly medicinal plant. It has got tubers, very bitter, and 2,000 rupees a kg. It was, I think, some 10-15 years. Now, Dr. Dandin may be knowing, it may be, I think, 4,000 or 5,000 rupees a kg for one. And the plant is extremely rare in the Himalaya. 5 kilometers you walk, you may not get 2 plants. Now, biotechnologists are there in our country. Why they are not able to multiply this into truckload? You truckload this. My point is, they say, you give me 1 cell, 1 leaf, I will give you 100 plants. Take this plant, develop your own entrepreneurship, and develop truckload. Make money, you become rich, country becomes rich. So this is exactly what is needed. We have to select such plants. Now, this is podophyllum, I have already told. This is again important. This is, I think, Dr. Dandin also told, Picrorhiza, Kurua, very bitter plant. 1 centimeter plant, twig, you put it in bucket of water, 1 spoon you cannot drink. So bitter. It is said to be very highly good for anti-diabetic. Why should we not go for them? When we know the information, should go for product development. I think these are all some of the things I will go. And in South India also, of course, Western Ghat also is very important. There are large number of medicinal plants. This is one of the wonder plant for Parkinson disease and L-DOPA, Parkinson disease. And this plant is only one I will say. This is Trichopas zeylanicus. It's a Jeevani, it is a Agastyamalai hills. The local people say, the traditional ethnic people say that you eat some seeds of, fruits of this, and it gives you so much of strength and energy that without eating food for the whole day, you can carry 50 kg weight on your back and climb the Agastyamalai mountains. Imagine how much energy it gives. Without eating food on Ekadasi day in our place, if there are no food, they will be sleeping already, no food. See, this is the thing. You take some seeds, it gives so much of strength and energy. Is it not a miraculous plant? I will say this is a miraculous plant. What have we done? What have we done then? When we know the ethnic knowledge associated with this is there, but we have not been able to develop. So therefore now I think this is high time that what has been said only we go on repeating, that is not required now. Take the young people, I think you should do what your seniors could not do, you should do. I think take any one of these plants, take your entire life, 30 years, and at the end of the day bring a project. I think product, that's what is required. Quickly I will go. And in Chucks, there is another problem for us. I think morning I was also talking to him. There is another problem. Why are we not bringing a product? There is one problem is this. If any pharmaceutical company comes and asks me, I want to establish 500 crores, I want to put and establish a company to develop anti-diabetic drug, please tell me 5 very important plants from India. I have no answer. Nobody has any answer. I can give 500 plants. Anti-diabetic plants, but best 5 plants, I don't have answer. So even prioritization or shortlisting of species has not been done. So same is the story with Charaka Samhita. You take for example Charaka Samhita, you see, I don't want to read all this, those of you are interested, you can take yourself. There is a Miliaceae plant, there is an Acanthaceae plant, there is again a Picorrhiza scrofulariaceae plant, all plants are there, they are all for jaundice. Right? Now next slide also is also same. So there are so many plants in Charaka Samhita which are said to be effective for jaundice. Right? Now if I see them botanically unrelated, chemically unrelated, phylogenetically unrelated, how can I believe if A is good, how B can also be good, C can also be good? This doubt I get even in authoritative work like Charaka Samhita. Is it okay? Because unrelated plants are there. They are all said to be very effective. Botanically, phylogenetically, they are not connected. So therefore, this is a problem I am facing. So therefore, I cannot tell anybody that this is the best plant for diabetes. I cannot tell, nor any other person. Same is the case for fever. Look at this large number of plants which are all said to be same. I think I don't want to read, but the slides will be available. All these plants are said to be good for fever. Now, which is the best plant? Can anybody tell which is the best plant? I want to put 500 crores on this for the development. No, I cannot put my money on all these plants, but best plant, no. So prioritization or shortlisting of species has to be done. That is very important now. I think the 21st century scientists should take up this work. Now you come to ethnobotanical aspect now. In ethnobotany, it is the tribal related botany. For diarrhea and dysentery, you survey the entire country and different tribes, they use the same unrelated plant, the same story what we see in Charaka Samhita. Same is the story. Is it okay? So unrelated plants are all said to be very effective, even in ethnobotanical data. Yes. Now anti-malaria, same is the story. Different tribes, different plants are using. Clear? Now I will come to the opposite of this. That means same plant being used for the same ailment by unrelated tribes. Yes, are you able to understand? Now here is a plant which Rajasthan also uses, Mizoram also uses, Tamil Nadu also uses. So what does this indicate? Without even scientific investigation, I can conclude it must be a very effective plant. Any doubt, anybody? Why I don't want to go for scientific evaluation? Because everybody is using this plant, I will say that yes, this must be. So this is what is called cross-cultural ethnobotanical study. Unfortunately, cross-cultural ethnobotanical study also we have not done in our country. Yes, anything?
No, I am telling you.
Yes, cross-cultural ethnobotanical study also we have not done. So therefore, if you want to, you see, same is the case of your Bhumi Amla, Phyllanthus amurus. Everybody, it is a very effective plant, and 100% I am certain that this plant is one of the wonderful medicinal plant for jaundice. Then where is the product? What we do is we crush the plant, put it in milk and give it to the person who is suffering from jaundice, he will be cured. So I know it is 100% effective. But why not we bring a product and make money? We have to make India strong. So that is where our contribution should come. Not that somebody said, I think my job is only to do research. No, yes, you should, your research, your data develop in such a way that the companies are able to use your data and go for product development. That is the one. I think this is the same thing. So this kind of studies is known as the cross-cultural study. I think every one of you should read this. Use of a particular species for the same ailment by different unrelated ethnic groups indicates its efficacy and potential. So therefore, what we need to do today is not just the ethnobotanical study, but cross-cultural ethnobotanical study. 550. Suppose you are working on Tamil Nadu, ethnobotany of Tamil Nadu. There is an anti-diabetic plant. 550 ethnic tribes are there. How many tribes are also using this plant as an anti-diabetic? That you should try to look into. For that, what we need? We need a ethnobotanical database of all the tribes. Then you can compare. Unfortunately, we don't have ethnobotanical database. For all tribe-wise database is also not there. So therefore, even if we want to do something, there are several lacunae or shortcomings which we are not able to achieve. But point is, we have to attempt at some point of time. So that's why I am bringing this. So cross-cultural ethnobotany today, I define this as a way of bioprospection. So bioprospection is not the monopoly of biotechnologists. It is a field botanist can do bioprospection at the species level. So what I do through cross-cultural studies is also bioprospection. And the same thing they do at the molecular level. So bioprospection at the species level I do. So therefore, my role as a field botanist is very important because I tell this is the best plant for cancer, then only you can build the mansion. So therefore, field botanists are neglected, ethnobotanists are neglected. Nobody wants taxonomy today these days. Everybody wants taxonomy, but when giving something, no, of course I have got everything, I have nothing to regret. I don't know, because of fear or so, every committee has given me. But my point is, anybody applies anything, no, they will not get. You apply for a fellowship, no, you will not get. You will award, you will not get. You will be evaluated with a molecular biology. Why should you be evaluated with a molecular biology? Yours is a descriptive science. You should be evaluated with other taxonomies, not with molecular biology. This is what is happening, but I have been fighting with all molecular biologists and biotechnologists in this country last 50 years, and if you talk to any molecular biologist in the country, is a very quarrelsome fellow, they will say. So, but I don't mind, I don't need a certificate, but I fight for this subject. Taxonomy is so important, without that you cannot do anything, but still you don't want to support. Herbarium is so important, you say, but you don't want to support herbarium. Ethnobotany is important, nobody wants to support any of these things. So therefore, I think you may become some big positions in the coming decades, at least you should try to support all these kind of studies. Yeah. So definition of bioprospection is what I have written in red. Conversion of traditional knowledge into a product, making use of modern science and technology is bioprospection. That is my definition, yes. Now already there are good example, I think I don't want to read, Professor Dundee knows this. Phyllanthus amurus, well known, Trichopas zeylanicus is well known, Podophyllum hexandrum, Arnabia, all these things have already formed base for bioprospection in our country. I think they should go on. Now, as I said, the globally available, if you survey globally available plant-based drugs, if you see, already available, not from India, globally available, 74% come from the herbal drugs or from the follow-up of traditional leads only. Imagine, what is your contribution, modern science? I ask this. 74 comes from traditional leads, ethnic knowledge, tribal people to whom you do not want to support, and take this 74% of this entire thing. So the ethnobotany plays a major role in search of medicinal drugs, newer plants, newer drug plants, newer edible, anything you take, ethnobotany plays a major role. So scrutinize these rich ethnic natural resources, for further chemical, pharmacological and clinical studies, development of potential herbal medicines. I think that has to be done. Now, take for example, I told 119 plant-based drugs, 74 are from traditional and almost 50 pharmaceutical leads from botanical leads only, from the ethnic leads only. Whereas, you read this, systematic survey has proved unsatisfactory. Based on scientific investigation, unsatisfactory. Ethnic leads, yes, it is. And another thing is also what we need to do is, anything when we talk is not a fixed source. A plant is variable. You please understand this. It is not, I have studied this plant from this campus, its chemistry, cytology, everything. It is not end of it. If this plant grows in 100 other locations, you should see how different it is. So, they are invariably, they are highly variable. So, that is what I want to say. Tropical species are well known for their variability. Any plant you take, you should see. For example, nothopoditis is a good example. In fact, anti-cancer compound was known from Camptotheca acuminata from China. It was only monopoly of China at one time. And China was reluctant to give camptothecin for India for reasons known to them. But our scientists, particularly ethnobotanists, they surveyed, they have come out with a plant, nothopoditis fotida, which is much higher concentration in camptothecin. So we have broken down the monopoly of China. I think all this comes from ethnic knowledge. Yes. Now this is that plant, Maphia fotida. Now recently the etri scientists have also come out with another plant called Miculia. This is the one, Miculia dentata, which is the highest concentration of camptothecin in the entire plant world known so far. So we know all these compounds are there. How it has come? Pure ethnic knowledge, tribal knowledge only, it has come. So ethnobotany plays a significant role in drug discovery, yes. Now, these are all anti-cancer. What I did from literature, I have taken ethnobotanically important plant from, this is from literature. Now, wherever I have put in red, these are the ones used by more than one tribe. That means it must be very potential, highly potential species. Somebody should take up as anti-cancer plant and go for product development. Wherever I have put Bainia, Aphanomyxis polystachya is a good anti-cancer plant. This is a Miliaceae plant. And Butea, Mesoaphyria, these are the ones, yes, anti-cancer plants. And this is a wonder plant again for Parkinson disease, Eldofa. This is the one, Mucuna pruriens. The seeds contain eldofin, which is a wonderful drug for, again, all comes from ethnic knowledge, ethnobotany. Yeah. And of course, this is for Northeast India. Those of you who are interested in Northeast India, I have made a list of plants which should be taken up by the biologists for going for product development, because each one of these is a gold mine by itself. For example, you take for example this Cordyceps sinensis. One single mushroom of this much size costs 200 rupees. We do not have the cultivation trials, we do not know the cultivation of this. Fine, if you develop cultivation technology, cultivate this on large scale and make money, you will be the richest man in India. But that is what I am telling. See, exactly we should select such species which can change the economy of the country. Yes. Now, Panax is a Viagra plant. Now it's a wonderful 1,000 rupees per kg. It is sold in Nagaland and all that. And China has got already a name. Chinese Panax is well known. And we are a strong competitor. But unfortunately, if you see what is the situation of Panax today, even the taxonomy is not solved. There is so much confusion in the taxonomy, even that we have not been able to solve. So much of variation. So this is where we stand. On one side, we should feel proud to say that India has a very rich biodiversity, richer than China. On the other side, we should feel sorry that we have not been able to bring any product at the global level. Yes. Again, the same thing I have given. And I told there is a plant, Zivani. This is a wonder plant, I told, miraculous plant. The same miraculous plant, more or less the same property, this Panax has in the northeastern region. Now, why don't somebody combine both these and go for it? It's a trial and error method again. You develop what ultimately we need a very effective product which should bring money. Why don't you do this? Some of the young scientists should take up these plants, and whether it is possible, you may be a failure is a different thing, but try and trial and error method, you will be able to develop a product at the global level. This is I always say it's a miraculous plant. Develop some baby food. Babies will be very strong, healthy, and then we should develop, and at the same time we should get money. I think that's some of these things we should try to do. Yeah. Therefore, the future responsibilities of the traditional people is that number one is revitalize the traditional cultures. Now, what has happened, say for example, I will give you sacred forests. Now, sacred forests are sacred because they are protected. In fact, in Karnataka or Tamil Nadu, you may not be able to see and appreciate sacred forests because they are all small, small patches. You go to Northeast, there are miles together, huge patches of, I do not have, because my talk is different. Huge forests are there. I call them as relict vegetation. Relict vegetation or living fossil community. I call them living fossil community because of abundant richness in that. 1 kilometer you survey in that area, in the sacred forest, you get 1,500 species in 1 kilometer, which is much more than the entire state of Rajasthan. What you get whole Rajasthan, you get in 1 kilometer. That is the richness. But what has happened today is, millions of years, these forests are protected because of the beliefs attached to that. What is the belief? Your ancestors are there, their Atma will come and hold you, or tiger will come and kill you. Some belief. Now today, what we have made, hey, no Atma, nothing, hey, this is all bogus. So all the tribal boys are studying in Pune, Bombay, Calcutta, all big, big places, and when they go back, they don't agree. What are you telling? Nothing will happen, because they do not have faith in the ethnic knowledge that has percolated over several generations. Now the several generations information that has percolated in this very generation is going to be abruptly cut. So it is a very sad. So therefore I always say you should revitalize. Yes, yes, tiger will come. I have seen myself, there was a tiger. Something, you should go against the science and tell them yes. Otherwise, we will lose all these sacred forests, wonderful sacred forests, which are the relict vegetation of our country. Yeah. Safeguard the sustainable, and then act as custodians of traditional knowledge. I think we should act as the custodians, as ethnobotanists, we should also act as the custodians of traditional knowledge and give them, it should not necessary that you should take everything from the tribal, give them also in terms of some royalty. Suppose you develop a product or something has come out, benefit should reach them. You cannot get, I get some 10 publication and I get a promotion of professor or reader or vice chancellor. It is for me. What is it you are giving it to the tribal people? So therefore, we should distribute the royalty. Now to whom you will give? It is not, information does not belong to him, because information is generated over several generations. So therefore, you should, entire community, you should reward entire community in terms of develop something, schools, community halls or some such thing. So that is what the ethnobotany should take a lead in the coming decades, yes. And cross-cultural study, in fact, as I told, the cross-cultural studies totally neglected. We should do cross-cultural. But unfortunately, I don't want to blame the young people, because whenever they apply, when I go and give a talk, at least 10 projects students will submit. Sir, you told I submitted a project, it is rejected. So what can I do? So this is the problem. So the funding agencies, unfortunately, all the funding agencies, everybody, they are all ruled by elite scientists. What are elite scientists? All big molecular biologists, biotechnologists, who do not know anything of this. There is a need to train those people that this is important. Herbarium is important, I should tell them. But unfortunately, I cannot tell them. I cannot teach vice chancellors. This is a problem. This is a problem, but the decision takers are these people. How do you do this? It is a big problem. But unfortunately, yes, this is the truth, that we should try to take cross-cultural studies in future, so that some prioritization, species, diabetic 5 plants, cancer 5 plants, jaundice 5 plants, you bring out, and others do. The whole country should focus on those 5 plants, because all the people are working from the consolidated fund of Government of India. So therefore, that you should go to identified species, so that after 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, a global level product should come, and that is the greatest contribution, I think, that you are doing. Yeah, I think this is the conclusion. I hope I have not taken much time, but I am once again thank Professor Ramesh for giving me this opportunity. Yes, I get very rare opportunities like this so that I can brainwash many of the people here, so that ethnobotany is important, taxonomy is important. I got an opportunity to tell everybody. I think thank you so much. Thanks to thanks to Madam Chairman. Yes. Yeah.